Hey, what's up? Just want to thank you guys for watching our channel. Please hit that subscribe button. The shooting discussion.
Yeah, I was waiting for this part.
And what we were talking about, and it ties into another question I had just about kind of where you see your game developing from here.
Yeah.
But you had mentioned to me that you've been watching some film of me specifically going right. So turning over my right shoulder, whether it's a throw and go, a pin down, DHO, whatever. And we got into a discussion, and I'll just paraphrase here, but essentially most shooters that move off the ball, they like to go to their left.
Mm-hmm.
And I said Corver was really good. Ray could do both, but I think Ray would, because I guarded him and I knew which way I was trying to force him. Ray liked coming off the other side. Ray liked coming with right, left footwork, going to his left. Steph does both. I think Clay, based on every ATO they run for him, he likes going left, right, left footwork. What do you think? What do you think's so hard about going right versus left?
Because squaring of shoulders.
That's what it is.
It's the squaring of shoulders. So anytime you're going left, it's just so easy to turn that lead shoulder. But when you're going right, the shoulder, the arm that's shooting the ball is actively away from the hoop. So then you have to rotate in order to square it with the hoop while maintaining speed. So the thing that I think you mastered, and you know, I'm sure you're very conscious of this, is that you allowed the process to happen. So you go right and you're not like, let me stop my body, square my body, and then shoot. You do it as one continuous motion. So it's left foot, right foot plant, elevate, and rotate.
Yeah.
And so you jump without your shoulders being squared to the hoop and catch the square mid-jump. So like you just basically perfect the timing of the turn.
I wouldn't recommend teaching people how to do this.
And,
like,
it's
this is not something you teach a 10-year-old.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. But like you have an elite ability to shoot the ball, so you're able to time the release with the point in the rotation where your shoulders are square.
Yeah.
Right? So I think that's the main key to it. It's like it's very hard because there's a lot of extra movement. Like that's why they tell you as a kid, don't fade away, you make it a moving target. Like when you're going right the way you do full speed and you're turning into that shot, you're going this way, rotating back the other way, and trying to find the point where to shoot the ball. Like it's a very acquired skill.
So I had never heard that description or that reasoning behind why it's harder, because your shoulder is further away from the basket.
You got to get it
turning
towards
your shoulder. Yeah. And it's funny, the squaring part, I used to tell people this all the time. They'd be like, why do you like going over your left shoulder and going to your right so much more than the other side? For me, it was simply a length issue. I'm 6'4" with a negative wingspan. If my defender's on this side and I can shoot on the move, the ball's further away. Coming this way, 100%. It's way easier to square coming to your left over your right shoulder. Way easier.
That makes a lot of sense.
But but the description of the point at which I shot, and I think Kyle was a little bigger, so he did this really well, and Steph does it as well as anybody. Mm-hmm. But like I can remember nearly every shot that I made in the game. You know, we just
got a log in our brains about it.
So you see a clip of like a shot you made, and when you watch it in full time, in like real time, like fast motion, whatever, not slow motion, you're like, that shot looks a lot different than it feels. But then if I was to watch it in slow motion, the release point actually is when I'm fully squared.
Exactly.
It's just it doesn't
timing
look like
of
that
it
in real time.
has to be so precise.
It takes a lot of practice.
You have a lot, and I heard like because Mont, you were with Mont, I was with Mont. I heard a lot about your routines. I heard you were one of the most routine shooters ever, and I think that plays into it. Like you were able to fine tune this certain type of shot because you had the attention to detail and the reps necessary to do it. Like that's why we wouldn't recommend just anybody go out and try to do this. Like it is.
Yeah. You and I need to before you get going. I want to actually spend an hour with you in the gym and do some of this stuff. But I had a couple guys come out to Sag Harbor this summer to work on some stuff with me, and I remember. I'm not going to name his name because I really like him. I think he's a good dude. But I remember one of my coaches, my rookie year. It was before my rookie year, and I was shooting spot shots after practice.
Yeah.
And he comes over to me and he's like, you should plant your left foot before the ball goes there and then step with your right foot as you catch it and go up and shoot.
That would essentially stop your momentum.
Every single time. And I asked him, I said, no offense, but how many times in a season am I actually going to shoot that way? I might go 5 or 6 games without shooting with a left foot planted right foot. So when I would shoot spot shots, and this is what I drives me crazy when I watch guys shoot spot shots, they do the same footwork every time.
Ooh, I'm big on that.
Every single spot shot I would shoot, and I didn't shoot a ton.
Too.
I shot a lot on the move,
Yeah.
but it like teaches your brain to just habitually and naturally do your footwork differently on every shot. Because every time, like, I come off a pin this way, you shoot the gap, I got to do something different with my feet. I don't have to think about it, though.
I get asked that question all the time, right? And I had a coach in college that was very stickler on left-right footwork. So we worked it. But over time, I became of the mindset that you have to have them all, and you have to have them all readily available, because in a split second, you have to be comfortable choosing the one that's the most efficient, that gives you the best balance, that gives you the best elevation, that gives you the best chance of making the shot. So if I'm doing spot shots before the game, I'll go left, right, I'll go right, left, I'll step back toward, away from the hoop, I'll step, on a jump stop, or I'll just be feet planted. And my thought process is that I need all these in the game. I need to feel comfortable using any of these footworks at any given moment. So that's why I do it.
It's not just, by the way, it's not just the muscle memory of, I don't want the muscle memory to happen for the first time in a game, right? It's building up the muscle memory. But it's also, to your point, you can't predict what the timing is of a pass or whatever. And so you're building that in. Why is this important? Why is it all important? Because if I only practice one way and one thing is off, guess what? I'm not getting my shot off.
Yep.
I'm not getting my shot off.
Nope.
So yeah, it drives me crazy when I watch that. The one guy for me, actually I see the two guys that footwork wise, Ray, because I thought he was good going every way.
Yeah.
But he also was really good, especially going to his left, so right shoulder turn on the hop. And so I started using hops like on my one dribble.
Yeah.
You're in space on a DHO, and like I'd throw the ball out there and hop into it. Jamal did that really well too. And then the other guy that I obviously watch a ton of still, but that I really, really dialed in, he was probably in year 3 at this point, was like when I got to the Clippers, Clay's footwork when he fades on the right side of the court, where he takes that like really exaggerated step with his right foot, it creates like an extra foot of space.
Yeah.
And then he just, he's got the perfect form.
Right.
Highly efficient, whatever.
So
I had to practice that one a lot though.
I had a coach in college, and this was my last year at Pitt. We'd sit down and watch Clay's shots, Clay's threes, Clay's footwork, and then we go right to the court and practice what we just watched. So I'm in complete agreement with you there. But man, I think that's the one thing about high level shooters like yourself, Ray. There is a huge, and I know Ray talks about this, there's a huge emphasis on his base and his push off through the ground, which is really easy to, keep in the back of your mind. But I think from everything that I've been told, guys that have played with him, things that he said, like the jump, the force with which he jumped was of utmost importance to him. Getting off the ground, planting his feet, being balanced every time. And so that's something that I need to get better at and need to continue to find, is that that consistency with force through the ground to get you into that really repeatable shot motion. Because the one thing you don't want to do is give your upper body any more responsibility in determining how far you're shooting, your left, right. You need to disperse as many of the variables as you can, in very understandable chunks.
Yeah, I would say the two guys in today's game that really jump out in terms of the base is Dame and Donovan Mitchell.
Yep.
Donovan Mitchell's base. I've telling this every season
because of how he's built, right?
I
He's
know,
just like
but
a tank.
it's so good, bro.
His
lower
perfect.
body is so good.
Are there any?
He stays low, and Dame's the same way though.
Yeah.
I don't know if we talked about this. Are there any young guys that maybe they're not there yet consistently, but you look at them and you're like, they're going to be at this level?
I felt this, just so you know, if you'd asked me this 3 years ago, I would have said Cam. And I'm not just saying
I
that,
think an easy answer here for me is Trey, because I feel like as just a stationary catch and shoot shooter, he's elite. And as he adds more and more folds into his ability to shoot, Like he can catch and shoot with the best of them, and he's going to continue to add more. He's bigger than everybody. I think his capacity, his ceiling as a shooter is crazy high.
Yeah, so I would give you a young guy, and not just because he's a white dude, but I actually really enjoyed watching him play last year. And he can shoot the shit out of the ball, but I really enjoyed him off the ball, his cutting, deception, all that stuff. And that's Corey Kispert from Washington.
Yeah.
I think he's going to have a really good career. I'm excited to see him develop.
That's a good one.
Yeah.